workshop in the series. Now that you have money for a marketing budget, where should you spend it? Perhaps you started in the beginning using what was free to get your business open, but now that you're at the next step, what should you do with it? And Altimese will be talking about that. She is with us, has been with us for a couple years now from the Ezer agency. And here's just a few highlights of her career. And we are so happy to have her. And Altimese, I am going to send it over to you.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you everyone who's joining today. If we have, to Ellen's point, I've been having these presentations probably for about 3 years now. I think this is year 3. So we have some repeat participants, which thank you again for coming. And if you are new to it, how I operate during the presentation is this is a conversation. So please feel free as I'm speaking, drop the questions, any questions that you have, big or small, drop them into the Q&A box, and I'm watching that Q&A box and I'll answer as we go along. So this is definitely a dialogue together, because oftentimes a question that you may have, someone else may have that same question, they just didn't have the opportunity to ask. So please know, you're not interrupting at all, just ask the question and I'll address them. So here is the agenda for today. First, I want to start off with identifying that time when it's time to reinvest back into your business, what that looks like. And then we'll go into the areas of investment, specifically for marketing and PR, and how you can identify which one works best for you and your business. And then I'm going to talk about PR, marketing, paid advertising, and SEO separately, because I think they get looped in together and they're not the same. So we'll talk about the differences. And then as we talk about the differences, it'll help you identify which one is ideal for you. Perfect. Next slide. Okay, so how do you know it's time to invest back into your business? The truth of the matter is there's never a wrong time or never a bad time to invest back into your company. There won't be a time where if you invest into your company, you won't have a return on it. So there's never a bad time. However, there are some key indicators that'll help you identify okay, we're about to go to the next level, or we're at a place where we can't grow any further unless I invest. These are those things. So if you are currently promoting your business kind of within your current realm of influence, which includes family, friends, close acquaintances, things like that, and it seems a bit saturated. And when I say it seems a bit saturated, you've already asked your aunt 3 times to purchase something, or you have already created your service, whatever that service is, for a pretty decent amount of the people that already are connected to you, and they may not seem to want to repurchase, or that's just not how your product works. That is an indicator that it's time for you to consider other ways to amplify the reach of your business. Another indicator is that you are spending more time in your business rather than working on your business. And let me speak to that a little bit. Working in your business, specifically for me, since I do PR and marketing, working in it is actually creating content for clients. That's me working in it. Working on it is creating business proposals or RFPs that gather more business for the business. So if you are spending more time in your business rather than on the part that you love, which is why you created the business in the first place, time for you to invest. You are wearing many hats and you're doing all the things. And because you're doing all the things, one thing isn't doing great. And you're not mastering that one. So you're trying to do all the things, you're working on your email marketing campaigns, you got text marketing over here, you're doing your lead generations, you're doing discovery calls, you're making the product, you're packaging, you're doing all the things, but then there's not, all of them are kind of diluted because you're being stretched so thin. Time to invest. Also, if you have good revenue and you have a decent cash flow coming in, and because of that, you have some additional cash flow that you would like to just be really smart and strategic with it, it's time to invest. And finally, if you are at a point where you are looking around and you're like, look, there are only 24 hours in the day and only one me, and I can't do it. I can't do it all. I can't do it all. It's time to invest. So again, there's always an opportunity to invest. I'll tell you guys a story. When I first started with my company full-time, because I started the company in 2016, but in 2019, I was laid off and I went into my business full-time. At that moment, it was a place of survival because I was laid off and I just needed to get the work done. But I also knew that I was tapping out and I only had a certain number of hours in my day. And in order for me to create harmony between my business and my family, I needed to figure something out. I hired my first virtual assistant for 5 hours a month. That's all I could afford. I couldn't afford anything more. But I was like, please, I need help. So if you can just allocate just a couple of, just an hour, something for me. And she did it. And we've cultivated an amazing relationship. And that is now my operations director today. So don't feel like you have to invest a massive amount of money. You don't. You just got to do it. You just got to invest in. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the areas specifically to marketing and PR that you can invest in, I personally have identified that many people they lump marketing and PR together when in reality they're different. And marketing is not sales, PR is not sales, SEO is not sales. Sales is sales. And to gut check that, I always think about larger enterprise organizations and how they structure their departments. And very rarely would they have a sales department that is also called the PR department, or a sales department that's also called a marketing department. And it's very clear that there's a reason why. So PR is actually the top of your conversion funnel. PR helps people to, and I'll get into this a little later, but it helps people to get to like you, know you, trust you. That's what PR does. And then once you have PR, it funnels down into your marketing because people are like, they seem pretty cool. Who are they? And then they find you. They find you on these Google internet streets and they Google you. And oftentimes they look at your website, they check your website out, but they go to your social media. They go to other things that tell them who you are and what you stand for. And that's your marketing. And when your marketing is really good and it cultivates relationship and it's a place where it's not just selling, it's actually like social, because it's social media, it makes the sale so soft, yummy, and squishy that the conversion is easy. The conversion just, like, you don't even have to push hard. I actually used to work with an author, and he never actively had a CTA to sell his books. That wasn't what he did. He didn't have to. He cultivated a relationship so great with his audience that he just mentioned like, oh, this book, and people will go buy. And he's a New York Times bestseller. So there's a way of doing it to where you don't have to, but that's connected to your marketing. And the marketing is connected to people who know you, like you, trust you, goes up to the top of the funnel of PR. And then of course you have advertising. So advertising, it's kind of more of like you're investing into the different platforms, whether it be Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whichever is your preference. And it's guaranteeing an ROI based off of the objective that you choose. Google ads and paid social media advertising, they are very different. And we'll talk about that. Google ads have a lane all of their own, and paid social media has a lane all of its own as well. And then of course, SEO. So SEO connects essentially to all of the parts of the funnel, but it's in its lane all by itself. So when you think of SEO, you want to know that all of the pieces I just mentioned connects to SEO, but there's an active approach to SEO that helps you with your Google ranking. And that is not marketing. It's a component to marketing, but it's not just marketing, and it's not PR. It's SEO, which is why they're like people who get paid to do just SEO exclusively, and it's a full-time job. So those are those areas specific to like marketing and PR that you could essentially take that money, any of the money, or invest back into your business that would have a positive return. And before I keep going, I want to make sure there aren't any questions, and I don't see any so far. I'll check the chat as well. Okay, good. Perfect. All right, next slide. Okay, so things to know about PR. PR is not marketing, and PR is not sales. So you'll notice this with me. One of the core fundamental things about marketing, which small business owners really struggle with, is repetition. Repetition is your friend. Repetition helps your audience remember who you are, because remember, they're, people, they have lives, they're doing other things. So while you're marketing your business, they may see a post, they may see content, they'll be like, oh yeah, this is awesome. They might save it for later and totally forget. Repetition is your friend. So you'll see me repeat myself a few times. Sometimes I forget what I say, but most of the time it's intentional. I'm saying it so you can remember. So PR gives you credibility. It is awesome, and you need a website. You need a business website. So it's awesome to have that. However, when people check to make sure you are who you say you are, they don't go to your website. They use other supporting things to confirm that, whether it be social, whether it be reviews, whether it be articles that feature you. They check those things. And it's important to understand that your website is kind of like you talking about you. With PR, it's other people talking about you. This is directly, it's like a connection, it's a parallel lane to like influencer marketing. The reason influencer marketing is a $1 billion industry at this point is because the companies aren't saying, hey, we're great, come buy from us. The influencer is saying, hey, this company is great, go buy from them. It's a form of word of mouth marketing. So it's very, very powerful. And PR is connected to that. So having other people brag about you is way better than having yourself brag about you. So PR, that's definitely what it is. It's earned media, and it helps your audience like you, know you, trust you. If you ever work with a PR consultant or a PR firm, allow them the space to create the strategy, because oftentimes you would think like, why would a marketing company want to have any, like, what's the point of connecting to glamour for marketing? That doesn't make any sense. It's connected to liking you, because Glamour magazine's viewership, their readership is massive. Chances are there's someone in there that connects to marketing, and then they'll think, who is this? I like her. And then they go to Google and then they search you. And then that's where all of the juicy stuff comes up, and they say, oh, who's this? They do that. That is just a thing. So the know you is part of a deeper level, to where like it's more of like a peer. Like if you get into local news, or you are featured by like a Voyage ATL or anything of that magnitude. It's helping people know you and know your story. And then trust you, that's the thought leadership piece. So that's where you can create, bylines that's connected to your industry, to where you're talking and showcasing why you are an expert in your space, or why you decided to go into whatever product, selling whatever product that you have. That's the area where they start to trust you, and they start to trust your products, and they trust that, they're safe, and they can be, they'll say, oh, okay, I can try this out. This sounds good. So PR helps with all of those things.
Altimese,
And yes.
Altimese, I have a question. So when you say give your credibility on Google, is a suggestion here to try to get some Google reviews also, or is no?
So that is connected to SEO.
Okay.
And yes. However, if you do reviews, like you request reviews, remember, you can't change them. So it's one of the most powerful forms of, just affiliation, and saying, hey, trust this product, reviews are. But you have to be open to the feedback, and you have to not only be open to it, but respond to it as well. Not for the person who left the review, but for the people who are reading it afterwards. Because people are watching to see how you engage. So that's more connected to SEO. PR is more the features. It's more when you are on a podcast and you're doing an interview there, or you have an opportunity to be noted in like a local newspaper. Those things give you credibility online, to where if I was to Google your company, other things come up. The reviews will still come up as well, because it's connected to the SEO, but PR is more of like boasting. It's the brag. It's like saying you are great and here's why, but it's not coming from you. But that is a great question. That's a great question. And then also keep in mind, PR is not a sales generator. It's an indirect connection to it. It can. So like if you land a Good Morning America segment, that little 2-minute segment could literally it could break your website if it's not ready, right? And I've seen that happen. And it can convert to sales, but that's not the purpose for it. So the purpose is to funnel down into marketing. And it helps amplify your audience to where they just know who you are. It's hard to get sales when people don't know you. So you have to get yourself out there. You have to, make sure people know where to find you. Make sure your branding is clear. So this is kind of a sidebar. So like if you do PR, one of the things you need to consider is, one of the questions that they will always ask you is, how do people find you? So when they ask that question, if your branding, the fundamentals of your branding is not consistent, you would have a hard time remembering all of your social media handles, to just drop it, to just say, this is where you can find me. You'd have to say, well, on Instagram, my handle is this, but on Facebook, you can find us here. And then I'm here on TikTok like this. And immediately the audience is like, okay. Because a confused mind doesn't make a decision. A confused mind is just confused. They don't make a decision. So you want to make sure your branding fundamentals are clear. Like for ours, the Ezer agency is the Ezer agency everywhere. I don't even have to say on Facebook we're here, Instagram we're here. I can just say our handle is at the THRE Ezer EZER agency everywhere. No matter where you go, that's where you'll find us. And that is more memorable to someone who's listening to a podcast, who's probably on their phone, and they'll immediately just type that in and hit follow, and done. So think of those things if you're planning to go into the PR route. Awesome. Okay, next slide. And again, you all, if you have questions, I'm looking, there are no questions. So I'm assuming everybody's like, yeah, I get it. You got a question, you should ask. I'm here. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so marketing. I sigh because people lump marketing into one bucket when really there are many buckets within marketing. So you can have a marketer who specializes in social media and they don't specialize in email marketing campaigns, SMS, text, messaging marketing. They don't do that. You could also have a graphic designer that is not connected in any way to influencer marketing and sponsorships. You could also have someone who creates branding packages and logos, and they're like, I don't do social media. I just create your beautiful graphics for you. So it's very important that while you're thinking about the investment, be very clear of what you want to start with, and also be very clear on your goals and objectives and the person that you're hiring, what they specialize in. Okay. Because again, one size doesn't fit all. And it kind of goes back to wearing the many hats. Like if you hire someone that is wearing many hats, chances are it's not as powerful as if they just leaned in to one. Okay. So know the difference. And this is not an exhaustive list. There's a lot of different roles and an array of different specialties within marketing. So it's just important to know and be clear on which one you need. And consider if you need marketing support for isolated projects, if you need a consultant, or if you need a marketing agency. All three are different. Okay. So the isolated projects, that could be done by a freelancer. That could be done by someone on Fiverr, honestly. And Fiverr gets an interesting rep where people think like, oh, I'm just going on Fiverr and you only pay $5 and it's trash and it doesn't work. You can find really great people on Fiverr to get your job done if that's what you need, right? But if it's a long-term project, you need someone kind of dedicated to the investment that they're putting into the project. People on Fiverr are not dedicated to the investment that they're putting into your project. It's a project. So once the project is done, it's done. So remember that if you hire someone from Fiverr versus a consultant. So a consultant is typically one person, could potentially be two, depending. So a team of two, but they're there to kind of link arms with you and guide you through that process. Marketing consultants have a higher fee than those that are freelance because they come with a higher level of expertise. Because they come with a higher level of expertise, their rates, the investment shows. However, on the flip side of that, the quality of what you're getting and the commitment to your brand is there. It'll be stronger. And then you have a marketing agency. So again, I'll use my company, for example. We are a marketing agency. I used to be a marketing consultant. When I was a marketing consultant, people worked directly with me and I'd, build their campaigns, we'd link arms together, we'll build those things out together. Now that I have a marketing agency, hiring my agency is like hiring a mini department for you. You get dedicated people, not a dedicated person. So I have different people on my team that match these different buckets. So based on whatever your objectives are, whatever your goals are, you would actually hire the Ezer agency to cultivate something, build something within those different buckets of marketing. And then they'd be, you'd have access to them as a team. They'd be a part of your team. So they all have like pros and cons because, as a marketing agency, our rates are higher than consultants or freelancers, but you have the value of like literally amplifying your team and just tackling multiple things with people who specialize in those specific niches within marketing, versus just having, an isolated project here or there, or a marketing consultant that has one core specialty. And remember, marketing takes time. I think social media has gotten us into a place where we think of instant gratification. It comes instantly, but think of a post, and I'll just use social media as an example. Think of a post as a brick. So you put a post out and you have that brick down. Yay, you have a brick. That does not create the house. It's just one brick. So you have to think of all of the bricks that's building the house that you want to create. And that takes time. So you get instant gratification on that one post through reactions, comments, saves, shares. But to have a long-term ROI, you have to lean into the different campaigns and just give them time to work and, figure out what is working. Do active listening with your audience to see, the things that they don't like, because they'll tell you what they don't like, either in comments and community management or by what they are not engaging with. They tell you both ways. So that active listening is a part of that, and that takes time. Things that impact marketing, again, the branding fundamentals would be, the foundation of your social media pages. If you hire a marketing team, oftentimes we check those things just to make sure what we're working on and what we're building upon has a solid foundation at the bottom. A branding book. So a branding book is essentially what you would provide a marketing team that says, here are our do's and don'ts. This is our tone. This is how we speak. These are the words we will never use. Don't say these. Like if because that stuff matters. That really matters. If you are hiring somebody to do like any type of marketing or PR work, we need to know what your messaging is. Brand archetypes. So a lot of small business owners don't even realize that brands have archetypes. For example, Starbucks is an explorer brand. Dunkin' is an everyman brand. Their audiences are totally different, and they know that. So oftentimes people who go to Dunkin' or prefer Dunkin', they have no interest in Starbucks. That's not their thing. They don't go there. People who love Starbucks, same. They're like, Dunkin', but it's their archetype. So oftentimes the people who like Starbucks, they're explorers. They're willing to try a dragon fruit drink that's pink or rainbow. You know what I mean? They're willing to do these things and explore different things. And the everyman is more about, I just got off work and I'm still in my work attire, and I paint houses, and I can come in here and I can buy my coffee, and no one's looking at me and judging me because I have on this outfit and I got paint everywhere. Just give me my coffee. I'm going to go ahead and go. Two totally different audiences. But Starbucks and Dunkin', they know their archetype. So they know how to talk to the tensions of the people that they connect with. Those things help. All right. Doesn't mean if you don't have those, don't freak out. You don't have to like create it. That's just something that you would work on with your marketing team to build those things out. Brand voice and tone and identifying your target audience. The worst situation that you can put anybody, whether it's an agency, a consultant, or a freelancer, the worst position you could put them in is telling them to run or help you manage a part of your marketing, but you are unclear on your brand voice and tone and who your audience is and who you're serving. Because they will be like throwing darts just out in the air and hoping something will stick. It doesn't work. And if that is the position you're in, that's okay. But that means you give grace to the team or the person, and you all figure it out together. Okay, so that's a very, very important piece. It's hard for anybody to come in and speak like you on your social media unless you give them guidance on how to speak like you on your social media. So that's a very important part. And I see there was a question.
Altimese, the question, direct mail, what is the OOO on the side?
Oh, yes. OOO is like out of home. So that's like billboards,
Oh,
Yes. So they're still very, very valuable. And I feel like sometimes because we are in such a digital age, we don't think about the value of like direct mail, radio, television, billboards, but they are very powerful. They're really good too. They give you those impressions for people to know you, right? So that's the direct mail. And that's a whole different beast within itself. So oftentimes people who do like programmatic marketing, direct mail, they often don't touch the social media management stuff. That's a great question.
okay.
And I see a question. Do you have someone in your agency that does consulting? I have a small business and would be interested. So I would do the consulting. If someone wanted to work with me directly, very transparently, I'm really selective on those. So typically, like one of our partners is Meta. So that's like a benefit of like working with our agency. They get knowledge directly from like all of the platforms. We have Pinterest reps. We just got a Hulu rep, which is quite interesting. So we can like start to learn the ad best practices for Hulu, which aligns with out of home. It aligns with, it's like a digital version of television ads, but at a fraction of the price. So if you were to work with an agency, you could hire me like Meta. Meta hired me as a consultant. Or you can work with the team. I typically encourage people to work with the team because you get a breadth of expertise through them. And then I'm always there for like top tier strategy, but great question. Things to know about paid advertising. Okay, so paid advertising, you don't have to have a lot of money to do it if it's on social. You can run ads with 25 bucks, or you can run an ad with 2,500. They never tell you, they'll give you the reach. So they say, okay, if you're going to run this for $25, this is how many people we can estimate for you that will reach on your behalf. So it's very important for you to understand like the estimates and stuff, but you don't have to spend a lot of money for paid advertising. The key is knowing like the proper way to set up the ads, identifying who your audience is and knowing who that audience is, and then also ensuring that there is really great creative and messaging connected to your ad. It says PR and content marketing channels help support your brand in closing authentic conversion from paid advertising. Paid advertising is also often compared or paired with either PR or social media management. And here's why. You run an ad, it's phenomenal. People are like, oh, this is so great. Who are they? They're going to click the link, the avatar on your ad to go see who you are. If your ad does not match the experience of your social media, and then your social media presence doesn't match the feel and vibe of your website, it's a disconnect. They're like, wait, what? It's your user experience journey. So it's all a part of it. So if you run an ad, it's really important to kind of have those pieces too. So it's like great to complement them together. Paid advertising gives you an immediate return based on objectives, but requires long-term strategy. So what I mean by that is you run an ad, they will guarantee the results. Like they will guarantee that they're going to spend the money. So they're going to make sure that it gets into the eyeball reach or the impressions. You're going to get the impressions of the people that you want to reach based off of the targeting parameters you've provided them, right? So you're going to get that. So that's an immediate return on your investment. However, whether they convert or not is a different story. So, for example, if you run a social media ad and your objective is landing page views. You run that ad, the ad objective is landing page views. Facebook will ensure that during the duration of your campaign, they will spend that money and get the eyeballs to get the landing page views. Now, your experience on your website, that determines whether or not they convert. Because the thing with paid social advertising is you're reaching real people with real choice and free will. So they can't guarantee, if you ever hear somebody guarantee you a conversion from any of the things, I think you should run. You should run, because on the other side of that ad is a human. And the human can either like say, oh, I want to purchase, or say no, or say, I'm going to save this for later and come back, or say, I'm not quite interested and keep scrolling. So that is not something that, we guarantee. But it's important to understand that Facebook will spend the money. And based off of whatever the objective is, they're going to give you that immediate return once that ad is complete. And paid advertising is shifting. I do not know if you all heard, but Google is, they're getting rid of cookies. So advertisers will not be able to use cookies after, I want to say, the end of 2023 into early 2024. They're giving us time to prepare, because it's going to be a huge shift. So what does that mean? That means that as an advertiser, first touch points of data are really, really important. First touch points would be email subscribers. First touch points will be people who visit your website and they opt in for different things. Anything that gives you a direct connection to your audience, to your customer, that's a first touch point. Cookies, like Google cookies, are like, if I was to Google something on my phone and Facebook identifies like, oh, she just looked up Target. And then I go to Facebook and then I see a Target ad because I just went into it for Google. Those are the cookies. And that's what they're getting rid of. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that that was happening. That's coming down the pipeline. And it's making advertisers be more creative in their approach to reaching the audiences and getting the conversions. So, and it adds a level of privacy for consumers as well. While starting and growing a business of retail, how important is having inventory before running marketing? Very, very good question. So I think this also depends upon the type of retail business that you have. I used to have a boutique, and when I had the boutique with my partner, my business partner at the time, we did not keep inventory. We chose drop shipping, because drop shipping for us, it was better to kind of manage the level of inventory that we have on hand. We didn't have to worry about shipping directly, all of the things. And it was great. It was wonderful. The downside to drop shipping is just making sure whoever you do the drop shipping with, they maintain the inventory on their side. And companies like Shopify, they are like premier partners with social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. So for example, if you have a Shopify account, you can actually integrate your shop with Instagram, and that's how you can cultivate your Instagram shop and then sell the product right there. And you don't even have to worry about shipping any product out. Shopify will do that for you. So it's just that question, it depends on like what type of the structure you have for the inventory, and if you have inventory on site or not. If you do have inventory on hand and you're the person shipping them out, make sure that if you're promoting something on social media, it's available, because that will also create a customer service issue. So it's important to make sure things are tight. Your process and your structure have to be really, really tight when you have on-hand inventory. But great question. All right. Awesome. Next slide. Check and chat too. All right, things to know about SEO. Okay, so if you run a Google ad, that is not SEO. This is just my personal opinion, my personal feedback. Google ads are like rent. So it's like renting a space. So you run a Google ad to get you all the way at the top of page 1 for your business. And that's wonderful. That's fantastic. But when you stop running that Google ad, your SEO kicks back in and you drop back to your original ranking. So unless you have a really good SEO, like a good SEO ranking, which is search engine optimization, if you're running the Google ads and you decide I want to save money or allocate the fund someplace else, make sure your ranking, your SEO ranking is good, because if not, you're going to get lost back into the original number of pages that you were in before. So SEO is connected to any and everything connected on the internet that aggregates content to Google searches. That's what search engine optimization is. So if you go on your phone right now and you type in blue socks, whatever comes up, you'll have the ads. Those are the people who paid, who did the rent. They decided to rent the space. And then under the space of the ads, those are SEO. Those people have good SEO rankings because they're on page 1. Anything past page 2, that's when, most people don't click past page 2, transparently. So like if you are on like page 3 or 4, that just means you got to go on the back end of your website, make sure your tags, your meta tags are what they should be. Make sure your pages on your website have good SEO. Make sure that they are, whatever your tags are they're not in the mindset of you, the company, but they're in the mindset of the person that you're selling to, who will most likely put it into Google. So SEO oftentimes doesn't make sense. Like if you read it, it doesn't make sense, but it's not meant to make sense. It's for the people who just put in blue socks or for the person who puts in, how do I do this? Like that kind of thing. So think of SEO in that way. SEO is connected to earned media, which is your PR, the links that mention you, that talk about you. It's connected to short form content. Short form content is considered social media. So anything on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those are connected to SEO. Hashtags are often SEO generators. So when you use hashtags in your content, think of it as an SEO perspective, not content perspective. You got to use it to say, if I put this hashtag here, I'm connecting myself to people who are using this hashtag, and I want them to connect with me because of X. So sometimes the hashtag may or may not make sense to you, but to the audience that need them, it makes perfect sense. Long form content is like blogs. It's like if you have a blog on your website, that's long form content. When you create that long form content, make sure you check your SEO. Make sure your tags are there. Make sure you put them in the right categories for your website. All of that connects. Evergreen content, pillar content. So evergreen content is what you use to repeat yourself. So I often tell small business owners or people with brands that are themselves, every now and then you got to reintroduce yourself. Every now and then, because you have new followers, you have new people. To expect them to know what you do, who you are, all these things when they found you from an Instagram reel, that's interesting. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself. So once a month, do the, hey, I'm Altimese. This is what I do. Like, it's okay for you to do that. And it actually helps your new audience be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not going to unfollow you just because I saw your cute reel and I don't know what you do. Now I know what you do, so I'll keep following you. That's the whole thing. Data-led content. So data-driven content is more of like, that's more in like the back end of SEO. And when I mentioned that people hire like SEO specialists, they actively seek out, there are like different websites that tell you what's the most trending or the most relevant in SEO based on your industry. So they'll use those and actively swap out SEO tags, which helps your ranking. Like it just keeps the SEO great. And it's a great investment if you decide to do that. I see a question. Can a consultant help with SEO or should I invest in that? So a consultant could help with SEO if you tell them that you want help in that and they say they do that. So if you hire a consultant for marketing and they're doing like your social media management, oftentimes social media managers, they have insight into blogs, so maybe they might do long form content for you. They would most likely stay in that room unless you say, hey, can you help with SEO? And they'll either say yes or no based upon their own expertise. So I would say communication is key when you're starting these relationships and you're building and cultivating partnerships with people. And SEO, because SEO is connected to all of these pieces, your social media manager is going to touch into SEO regardless, because they're creating the content that's connected to your brand, that if someone Googled you, it will pop up in Google. So that's part of it. But an SEO strategist solely focuses on that. They solely focus on SEO and they like actively, it's kind of like, I don't know if this would be a good comparison, but it's kind of like the stock market. Like someone who's good at it, they'll keep an eye out on it and they'll move things accordingly. That's SEO. That's an SEO strategist. So they keep an eye out on the SEO for your industry and they move your tags accordingly to what's important. So maybe that's a good one, but great question. I think we can go to the next slide. Oh, no. Don't go. Stay right there, Ellen. Thought leadership. So thought leadership is like if you do like ebooks, or if you create, oh man, I used to do these long, like when I was in corporate, and it was like research, like you'd research your industry, or you do research on like the automotive industry or whatever, but you own that content. You built that content and you write it out and you provide it on your website as like a resource, whether it's free or paid. That is very valuable SEO, because not only it's not long, it is long form, but it's extremely long form. It's in the form of like an ebook or like a resource, long form resource. Those are really valuable in the SEO space. So as you upload it, make sure you have like really good tags for it. But yeah, thought leadership content is phenomenal for it. And the more pieces you have, the better. So the more you can tap into those pieces, the better your SEO will become. All right, next slide. Awesome. Okay, so things to take away. I know this was a lot of information. And please feel free, like if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. Things to remember is whether you have sustainable cash flow, you're time strapped, you're doing all the things, you have got to invest. You got to invest back into your business. One of the biggest things I learned in my journey of building my company is that people will only invest at the capacity that I am willing to invest. So if I am unwilling to invest X amount of dollars in my business, it's really difficult to ask someone else to invest something that I'm not willing to invest in. So I had to first become the largest investor to my company, which then in turn created fundamental structures and processes and gave us different platforms and things like that that we can provide to our clients that, you know, they don't even have to worry about. It's already integrated into how we do business. And that helped us tremendously. But I had to first be that first investor. I see a question. I have a retail store that had a good Christmas. We have about 20,000 to invest in marketing, but not sure I will have this year on year. I'm a bring approach for different marketing opportunities. Yep. Hire a person, do videos, posting. What do you recommend? Great question. Okay, so think of this investment. When this investment is done well, it's a multiplier. So like, think of it like when I hired my virtual assistant at only 5 hours a month back then, her doing things that was like her lane of genius, she can knock them out in minutes. It would take me time because that's not my space. So she was able to knock things out. And I was like, oh, you're done? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you want this? Yeah, I can do that. It freed me up to where I can do more things, and I brought in more business, and she continued to do what she was great at, and it was like a ripple effect. It was great. So if you invest, right, think of it as a way that $20,000 or however you decide to invest it, it's going to be multiplied, because what you're doing is you're freeing up an area for you that allows you to go back in and work on your business to do it better. So I'm gonna be confident in saying it is gonna come back. And if you invest it well, it's gonna multiply. It's gonna come back in a way that allows your business to expand more. In terms of the type of marketing that you should invest in, figure out where your audience is most. Where are you getting most of your sales? Is it through Facebook? Is it through Instagram? Do you have an email list? Are they engaged in your email list? Start there and lean into what's working. And if it's already good, that's a great place to start. Like, build on a strength. And then say, okay, this is what I have left over. Then go to the area that's like, I need some work here. Can you help me here? And then hire that person, right? And I'm also a fan of like I'd rather invest with one person than like 8. So, which is another reason why I was like, I'll build an agency that has all these things. Because all those 8 people have different opinions about those things. And all those opinions could be right. They could all be right. So it's a matter of finding your team that not only can do the work, but gets your mission, gets what you're doing, and they're invested as much as you are. If you find that person, you find that team, it's magic. It's absolute magic. And make sure they're honest too. Make sure they're honest and genuine about what they're doing. PR and marketing are not sales. They're not sales. They are part of sales, like the conversion to sales, but they're not sales. So remember that. So if you're hiring a PR firm, don't make them accountable for sales. That's not what they do. They should be accountable for the number of press hits that they get you during the duration of the contract, not in a month, but during the duration of a contract. Because PR doesn't work that way. We can't guarantee press for you, but we can say, okay, 1 month we may not get any hits, but the people that we pitch to that month may come back to us in 2 months and be like, hey, we have a story and your client may be great for it. Can we talk? That kind of thing. PR helps people to like you, know you, trust you. Those are 3 beautiful things. When PR is done for you, it gives you visibility that just helps your marketing. It helps your sales. Marketing has many different specialties, so know exactly where you want to go. And if you don't, just be honest in the discovery calls, be honest in that process, and trust your gut with that person or that team to make the best decision for your company. SEO is essential, but it connects to every part. So if you invest in social media marketing, you're investing in your SEO at some point. So like that's a part of it. If you're investing in email marketing, you're investing in your SEO. But if you invest exclusively in SEO, that's great too. So it just depends on like the level of investment that you want to do. All right. And I think that's it. Is that the last slide? Awesome. So there is one thing that we have that's coming up this Saturday at the Don Ryan Center for those who are in the Bluffton, Hilton Head area, or it's also virtual. So if you're not in the area, you can just join us virtually and you'll have the exact same experience. You'll be with us live. But we have our first social media bootcamp workshop that's all about content planning. So we work with our clients to help them batch plan. So they batch plan their content so that way they can be proactive on social media and not reactive. So during this workshop, we're going to help you to identify your content pillars. We're going to help you identify your messaging, your brand voice and tone. We're going to go through what we call as socially relevant holidays. So those are those quirky social media days that align with your brand. And you will have a 12-month calendar in front of you to lay out all of the important things that will connect with social, and you could outline every single month. So by the time this session is over, if you don't have the content written, you'll at least know what you're doing for the entire year for your social media and your social media strategy. So this is a great opportunity. I know Ellen sent out a code recently for like a percentage off, and it expired for SCORE, but I just reactivated it. But the percentage is different. So if you want to sign up and join us on Saturday, use the code SCORE, SCORE, the number 2 and the number 3, and that'll give you 10% off of the workshop. And again, if you have any questions, let me know, but I hope to see you all Saturday. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, Altimese, so much. Great information today. Just a few quick things before we get out of here right on time. This was the second workshop. So next week, we do have Lori Brown, who she is going to build upon what Altimese talked about with branding, and we will have a session on PR later too. And then we have Altimese will be back in March to talk about Meta Business Suite. She talked a little bit today about the changes. So we look forward to that. She'll be with us all year again, which we are excited about. And then at the end of March, we'll be starting our QuickBooks series again with Chuck Emery. Always happy to have him. He provides great information. And then if you need a mentor with any of the things that Altimese talked about, or any part of growing your business or starting your business and nonprofits as well, you can visit the website that is listed and fill out the application for a mentor, and we can meet with you in person, Zoom, or on the phone. And we are also looking for help. We are looking for volunteers. We are looking for people who can speak Spanish. If you would like to be a part of the workshop today, behind the scenes or presenting, we are in need of that. And follow us on social media, all our channels for the most up-to-date information. And then I would like to thank our workshop sponsor again, TD Bank, for sponsoring this series. And also we are powered by the Small Business Administration. Everybody have a fabulous day, and hopefully we will see you next week.